What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with a review for The Oval, Season 1, Episode 7, titled The Dark Sheep. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into the episode. Alright, so before I actually just go deep into the episode, can we discuss this? Like, the show was good, but the acting on some people's parts, not that spectacular to me. Needed a little bit of work, i.e. Miss Nancy, i.e. Miss Nancy needs some work. Barry needs some work. Who else? There's a lot of them that need some work, but they acting. But that's not even what I want to talk about first. The thing that I really want to talk about first is why, after 7 episodes, are we still on the day after the inauguration ball? Like, the inauguration ball was episode 1. So since episode 1, we've moved into a new day, and we've just been stuck there for 7 episodes. Well, 6 episodes. Like, why are we still stuck on the day after the inauguration ball? But that's neither here nor there. So this episode, it actually picked up where last week's episode left off. You guys remember. First lady was on her knees trying to give Max some head. Max was like, ma'am, please stop. Please stop. I'm married. I'm married. Victoria, you know, she wouldn't listen to him at first, but I'm like, Victoria, you're going down on this man who, 1, he might not be attracted to you. 2, he's married. 3, if you're trying to give him some head, I would hope he's a little bit, you know, erect and not flaccid. Because if you're just sucking a flaccid dick, I don't know what kind of pleasure you get out of that, but I just really don't know what you're getting out of sucking a flaccid penis. So then, you know, she was talking, he was like, he asked her, so he's like, why don't you divorce the president? She's like, me divorce him? I put him there. Because she asked him, did he want to see her scars? And, you know, she says, you know, she put him there. She, you know, then she talks about her background, how, you know, with her family, she was kind of the dark sheep of the family because, you know, her mom is light-skinned, but she got this man who was dark-skinned, and then she had her who's dark-skinned. So she was a dark side of her family. You know, they sent her off to boarding school because, again, she was dark-skinned. So then, you know, she went to college. All her good girlfriends that were white, they got these white boys to marry, you know, marry them. And, you know, she found Hunter, and she was able to mold Hunter, sculpt Hunter into who he is today, the president. But, you know, and then, you know, after she told her story, you know, Max was like, you know, I'm so sorry, ma'am. She was like, did you think I told you that for you to feel sorry for me? No, I did not. You're a servant, and you will be my servant. I'm like, whoa. It didn't take long for the bitch to come out of Victoria. And I'm just like, wow. Victoria, Victoria, Victoria. You can't go 1 minute. Like, you can't go a minute and not be a bitch to somebody. So, you know, she leaves out, and I'm just like, damn. You know, I might not care too much about Hunter, but goddamn, Hunter ain't too far off about the fact that Victoria's a bitch. So then we see that creepy ass Jason. So Jason, something wrong with this fool. So, you know, he's over there on the side of the counter. He raises up like a jack in the box, and he's like, yeah, you know, she's eventually gonna get you. She always gets what she wants. He's like, oh yeah, you know, your shirt is tucked into your is zipped up in your zipper. And I'm just like, Jason is a huge creep. And, you know, Max was like, what have I told you? Like, you need to stay in your room. He needs to stay somewhere because, I mean, like, Jason is just really freaking creepy. I just don't understand Jason. Creepo. But let's move on. All right, so then we see that Kyle. So Kyle went back toward, you know, where the Secret Service has their command center, right? And he's talking to Kyle. I think I might have said Kyle, but I meant Max. Max went back to the command center. He's talking to Kyle. And, you know, Kyle's asking him, like, so what happened? He said, you know, they basically had an argument. He's like, so, okay, so where's the president? He said, oh, yeah, he's in his room. So then he questions him. So he's like, so you were with him? He says, yes. He says, I find that quite interesting because, you know, yes, the president is in his room. Well, actually, the president is in the Oval, but you came from a residence. So, you know, you got to kind of make that make sense to me. And also, your zipper is in your pants. And, you know, there's a little contention between Kyle and Max. Because Max takes a dig at him like, oh, shouldn't you be worried about your detail? Because, I mean, didn't you just get kicked off yours? Yes, because Kyle is a creep. And so then we later see that, because he also told Kyle told Max that his wife called. So we also later see that, you know, Max is on the phone with his wife, and then Kyle comes up to him and says, you know, everything okay with your zipper? And his wife's like, what is he talking about, your zipper? He's like, oh, you know, they just making jokes over here. I'm like, huh, they're making jokes. You know what? If Kyle's wife was to find out that the first lady tried to give him a blowjob, you know, I think she would be better off just saying, you know what, let me chalk it up to, you know what, this help was crazy. If she wants to give you a blowjob, let her do it, because I ain't got time for it. Because there was a certain person in this episode that didn't have time for it either, and we're going to talk about her in just a little bit. All right, so next we got Sharon. So Sharon is still at the, you know, at the pharmacy with Kareem. So, you know, they've kind of managed to put everything together. She notices that one shelf is a little bit out of whack, and she, she was talking to Kareem. She's asking Kareem, is he gonna press charges against Barry? He says, nah, come on, man. Like, really? Where you going here? And she was like, you know, he was like, look, what happened? We just spent the last 45 minutes cleaning up this store, and you gonna sit here and ask me, am I gonna press charges against him? And then he asks her, so wait a minute, are you threatening me? She says, no, I'm not threatening you. It's just that he's been through a lot, you know. His baby mama kidnapped his daughter, so he's just going through a lot right now. And, you know, she says, you know, Kareem, can you please just do this for me? He's like, do what for you? Like, what am I getting out of this? I'm like, oh, come on, Kareem. Oh, gosh. So then, you know, she says, you know what, Kareem, I am going home. He says, are you fucking crazy? You're going home? He just told you not to go there. She says, okay, I'm just going to go there and get my stuff. He says again, are you crazy? The dude just literally just told you not to come home, and now you want to go home. So then we do see Richard. So Richard is trying to call Barry, but he's getting no such luck when you're reaching out to Barry, and Miss Nancy is just freaking out. I'm just like, oh, I like Miss Nancy, but her acting is piss poor. So then Sharon comes home. You know, they ask her, so have you, you know, heard anything from Barry? She's like, yeah, I saw him earlier. They were like, okay. And then Miss Nancy was like, so what was up with that voicemail that you left me? And she's like, oh, it was nothing. And then Miss Nancy says, it was something, Sharon. Tell me what it was. She says, okay, so I did see Barry earlier. He did come to the store. Him and Kareem got into a fight with one another. And also, Kareem called the cops, so now the cops are looking for Barry. And they were like, so did Barry say where he was going? She says, no, he's just out there. And Richard says, you know what? I think I know where he might have went to. And Miss Nancy's like, oh, Barry, oh, Richard, please find him. Please find him, Richard. And I'm just like, oh, God. Miss Nancy, you're acting. So then, you know, Sharon was like, you know what, Miss Nancy, I'm going to go upstairs, and I'm just going to, you know, pack a bag for myself. And Miss Nancy was like, no. She says, well, Barry told me to leave, and you didn't see the look in his face, so I'm going to leave. And Miss Nancy says, no, I don't want you to leave, Sharon. You're good here. I like you here, and you're good. You know, you make things better for me. I'm like, okay. But in the first episode, we saw Barry and Sharon in their room having sex. I mean, and I'm wrong with that, but damn, how the hell old is Barry? And we're gonna get into that a little bit about age, which I think I mentioned that last week, but I still have that same question. So then we see that Barry went to Denise's store. And, you know, Denise is like, I don't have anything to say to you. I've asked you for my money. Like, where's my money? He says, well, you know, I don't have your money. So then he asks her, like, so where's your twin? I'm like, her twin? Who is her twin? And she says, you know, I don't really know where she is. I had talked to that crazy bitch since she got involved with that cult. I'm like, so wait a minute. You mean to tell me that Ruth and Denise are twin sisters? And, yep, they're twin sisters because he says, your sister took my baby. And, you know, he says, I know you still deal with Carl, so I want you to call Carl. She says, I do not deal with Carl, and even if I did, I'm not calling Carl. So, you know, she's like, why don't you call my sister and figure out where your baby is? He says, I would, but she's dead. She says she's dead. And she had, like, zero emotion to the fact that her twin sister was dead. Like, she didn't shed a tear. She was just like, oh, bitch dead, bitch dead. I'm like, wow. Your twin sister, the same person you shared a womb with, for 9 to 10 months, but, you know, oh, she's dead. I'm like, damn, That is cold fucking blooded. Cold blooded. So then, you know, because she also said, you know, she really hadn't heard from Carl or her sister since they joined the cult. And she says, you know, so is Carl the one that has, you know, Callie? He was like, yes. She's like, you know what? You might want to let that go because they disappear. And when they disappear, you can't really find them. I'm like, what kind of crazy cult is this that you can't find the people? Like, I would think that a cult, they're trying to recruit more and more people into their cult, but maybe this is a different cult where they get people into the group and then they just, you know, say, hey, we got enough members here to try to repopulate, which that's nasty as fuck, but, you know, I'm not judging people who are in the cult. I just have a little bit of a side eye for you, but I'm not judging you. Just got a little bit of a side eye for you, but not judging you by no means. If you're in the cult, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. That is your prerogative. Your prerogative, not mine. So yeah, she just tells him to let it go. So then we also see that Max shows up to, you know, basically get her to come have sex with the president. And he unlocks her door. I'm like, wait a minute. How does he have a key to her store? Then Hunter calls, and, you know, Max is like, you know, you don't really have a choice. Like, you can come voluntarily or involuntarily. I'm like, well, damn, because he took out some black gloves. I'm like, so wait a minute, you just gonna sit here and kidnap the bitch? Okay. It just got weirder and weirder and weirder to me. But we're gonna move on so I can make that make sense. All right, you guys, so I just talked about, you know, Max going to get Denise. So I'm going to give a little bit more context about what really happened. So we saw Hunter. Hunter called Denise to see what's up with Denise. And Denise was like, your wife came here. We got into a fight. The bitch threatened to kill me. And he's like, but I want to see. She says, no. And he's like, you know, forget her. I'm like, no, don't forget her. Because the bitch, she went to her store, fought her, threatened to kill her. He says, oh, she's not going to kill you. Do you know that for a fact? Because I don't think you know that, because none of us really know what Victoria is truly capable of. And, you know, he does apologize to her. I'm like, an apology does not, you know, make up for what Denise had to go through. And, you know, she was like, you know what? I should really call the press and tell the press everything that I know. And she says, you know what? I'm not scared of her, but I'm not coming. I said, well, if you're not scared of her, you would go. So that means you have what? A little bit of fear of Victoria. And I don't blame you. So then Hunter calls Denise back, and Denise says, no, and hangs up the phone. So then Hunter, he just, you know, starts hitting all the buttons and sets off every alarm. So the Secret Service runs in there like, Mr. President, is everything okay? Is everything okay? He was like, no, everything is not okay. They're like, so what's up? So he tells everybody to leave and leave Max there. He says, Denise, I want her here tonight. Go and get her. I'm like, so you act like Denise is a piece of property that you can just say, hey, I want you here, right now, on your knees, taking care of me on my knees, taking care of you. You bent over this table, me, you know, giving it to you. He just acted like, you know, he's the owner of Denise. I'm like, damn, crazy. So then he was also mad at Max because, you know, Max, you guys remember, Max went to the store with Victoria, and he's mad that Max did not tell him that he went to the store with Victoria. Come on, bro. You know how Victoria is. And, you know, I could not get with the fact that he kept calling Victoria out of her name, because in this scene, he called her a bitch. And then we're going to talk about what he called her later on in the episode. Like, I'm like, wow. That's your... I mean, I get it. You don't like your wife, but damn. To call her a bitch, and then the next time he called her, like, wow. How fucking disrespectful are you? Hunter, Mr. President. You about as bad as the president. You about as bad as the asshole and cheat that we got right now. But, so, you know, Kyle, he was outside, and then he basically tells Max, like, hey, you need to teach your boy what that button is for. He says, oh, he knows what it's for. He knows what it's for. And then, you know, Max tells Kyle, like, you know what, bro, you getting on my bad side. He says, oh, is that so? I like hearing that. He says, yeah, you know, he says, I also heard that you like been on any man's side. I'm like, ooh, shots fired. So then there's a guy. I think his name was. It showed on my closed caption what the guy's name was, but I really didn't. I didn't catch what his name was. I didn't care to write it down. But he comes up and he tells what's his name, Kyle, that he has some intel that he told him to get about the airport. He says, I'll give it to the chief of staff. He says, no, don't worry about it. I'll do it. So then we see Don comes out, and he's asking what's going on. I think he was more specifically talking to Max, but Kyle, since he's right there, Kyle wants to jump in and talk to him about what's going on, and Don is like, when talking to you, don't you have a job that you need to be doing? Okay, yeah, go do that job. So then we see that Don goes in to talk to Hunter about the buttons, and he's like, so sir, I never told you what these buttons were for. He says, I really don't give a fuck what they're for. He says if he needs something, he will press him. And Don says, okay, that's fine, I guess. So what do you need? He says 2 tits and an ass. I'm like, 2 tits and an ass? He says, yeah, i.e. Denise. I'm like, oh, i.e. Denise. And then he says the ratchet whore went to her store, and Don was like, wait a minute, who's ratchet whore? He says Victoria's ratchet whore. I'm like, wow. First she was a bitch, now she's ratchet whore? Wow. You have literally no respect for the mother of your kids. I mean, if you don't have respect for her as your wife, at least have some respect for her as a mother of your children. But I mean, hell, y'all don't even care about y'all damn kids. One is a creeper, the other one is a little lion heifer. So I mean, yeah, whatever. So Don is telling him, sir, we do have a cabinet meeting in 5 minutes. He says, does it look like I care? I said, well, damn. In this fictional world, I would be so terrified. I mean, hell, we're terrified in this world that we live in now, in our real world with the current asshole in chief. But God, you know what? He actually mirrors that asshole that's in the office now. He mirrors him just a little bit. Only thing is, he's not orange and he's not fat. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So here's where things got a little bit interesting in the episode for me. So we see Kyle. So Kyle went home and he has that file that the other guy gave him from the airport, and he's telling Bobby, like, get your ass out, like, you gotta go, like, you're going to Panama. And he's like, I just got shot, so I don't have anywhere. I'm not in a position to move. He says, okay, either you go to Panama or you die. I'm like, you know what, Bobby? If I was you, I would literally get up and move, because Kyle has that single white female syndrome, and I'm pretty sure that if he says he'll kill you, he's gonna kill you. So you might want to get your black ass up and get the fuck out of Dodge. So we also found out that they were in combat together, and like I said, it just feels like Kyle is this upset, jilted lover, single white female-esque, and he says he hates me now. And he was like, who hates you? I can tell you who hates him. Don. I really wonder, has he and Don had sex? Again, single, white, female. But I really do wonder if Don and Kyle have had sex. Because you would think Kyle is sprung off the dick, because he is losing it. So, so basically, Kyle tells Bobby, because, he was like, he has the photos of Lily and Bobby sitting at the bar. He says if he finds out that anything else, did happen, he won't even have time to get away, because he'll kill him. I'm like, Bobby, I know you on pills, buddy. I know you in pain, my nigga. But you might want to get your ass up and get the fuck out of his place. Disappear. Don't leave a trail. Like, don't do nothing. Get out of there, because you's a dead man walking. So then Bobby, now here's what was tripping me out. So Bobby, he had these pills in his hand. He threw them back in his mouth, but if you notice, he was chewing the pills. I'm like, so are those, because I know, like, when little kids, when they can't swallow pills, they give them the chewable form. So I'm like, so are those chewable forms of pills? Because he was just chewing them down, and literally he was chewing on them. So then he finds like, I guess it was a burner phone. So he calls Lily, and he's basically telling Lily, like, hey, you know, someone has a file, you know, and they have pictures of us at the airport. She's like, I saw that file. He says, yeah, you might have saw that file, but, you know, someone else has it. And, you know, they're going to call you and, you know, tell them, there were no cameras facing the restroom where we went to have sex at. So when they ask you other questions, just tell them you don't know anything, you know, just tell them no and you don't know anything. But again, someone will call you. So right as she hangs up with Bobby, Kyle calls her and he says, you know, I need to come talk to you, so I'll be over to your house in about 15 minutes. I'm like, no, you're not coming over here. My husband had you taken off of his details, so that means don't come to my fucking house. But Kyle goes to Lily's, and, you know, he's starting to question her about what happened at the airport. He shows her the picture. She's like, you know, and she also said, you know, I already saw the file. He says, yeah, you saw the file that I wanted your husband to see. But I have this file right here that shows everything that really happened that night. Well, not everything, but it shows, you know, that you did actually meet this guy. So did you guys have a conversation? She says, no, I didn't talk to him. He was trying to talk to me, but, you know, I wasn't really paying too much attention to him. And then he says, okay, so, you know, you guys kind of disappeared for about 45 minutes. So what happened? She says, oh, maybe he was just following me. I'm like, oh, God, Kyle has some inclination as to what happened. And, you know, he was basically telling her, like, you know, I'm trying to protect you against your husband. She says, I don't need help. I don't need protection against my husband, so it is time for you to go. I want to open. She was dumb enough to open a door for Kyle. I, however, would not open that door for that brother. But, you know, we just going to keep it pushing, you guys. All right, you guys. And then let's close the episode out with Gail, a.k.a. Little Bitch. So she's still with Picky. And, you know, Jason calls her. And Jason wants to, you know, he wants good on his promise. You know, he helped her get out of the White House. So now he wants, you know, repayment. And I'm sorry, but when it comes down to Jason, he just, like, he's a creep. And when it comes down to it, he just gives me an incestuous vibe with his sister. I'm not saying that he would try to sleep with his sister, but it just gives me a bit of an incestuous vibe. But, you know, and again, how old is Picky? Because we know Gail is 16, but how the hell old is Picky? Picky looks like he's my age, at least 29, 30. Or it could be older than that. I'm just saying. But, so, you know, she hangs up on him, and then he calls her back. He says, I'm serious, Gail. What about what about our end of the deal? She says, I don't owe you shit. He says, oh, you don't? Well, you know, I can blow your whole little plan to shit. Because she also asked him, so do they miss me? He's like, who is this? And he says, nobody misses you. So then, you know, like I said, Gail blew him off. So then, you know, Victoria comes out and she tells Jason, you and your sister get ready for dinner. He says, oh, I don't know where she is. She says, what do you mean you don't know where she is? He says, she's not here. Like, she's not in her room? He's like, I don't know. She says, what the hell do you mean, little bastard? I'm like, she called her, like, she literally hates her fucking kids. He says, I think she might have left, you know, the grounds. She's like, what? How could she leave the grounds? He says, you know, she hopped into one of the maid's trunks. She's like, what maid? He says, I don't know. And then, you know, we see Victoria. She goes in there where the Secret Service is, where Yuma is, and she is going off on them. Like, you guys are some sorry. She called them some sorry-ass motherfuckers. I'm just like, damn. You know, if I was a Secret Service, like what Hunter was saying last week, you know, they could just accidentally lose her. I would accidentally lose Victoria, seriously. I would accidentally lose Victoria because Victoria is a complete freaking bitch. So, you know, we flash back to Picky and, you know, Gail. So Picky was telling Gail that, you know, like, it was going to be easy for him to just be like, you know what, she never existed. They ain't had nothing to go. They ain't had nothing with each other. And so, oh, it's going to be like that? He says, yes, it was going to be like that, like you're in the White House, for God's sakes. So then, you know, she's like, but I don't like it there. I hate it there. He was like, you are so stupid. So don't call me stupid. He says, you are, because there are a lot of people that would love to be in your position, because she's talking about she want to be there with him. He's like, but there are a lot of people that would love to be in your position. She's like, yeah, they would love to be in my position until they're actually in it. So then, you know, we hear Barry walk in, and I'm like, oh, the shit is about to hit the fan. And that was actually where the episode ended, you guys. So be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button, share the video, and I will see you guys later.